Say it again.
Alex Surridge.
Anna Vandermeer.
Nate Hildebrand.
Alex West.
Taylor Dickerson.
Right now, start the discussion.
I think that it means that, like, through sorrow, like, it may enrich your life. Like, when people go through hardships in their life, they usually get, like, stronger through it. But fear is always in the background, like, it's always haunting you, and it never goes away. So it's always going to be a struggle to get through it. But sorrow, you can get through it.
I think that fear can also, it can damage your relationship with God a lot sometimes because, like, if you're fearing something, you're not always, like, you don't believe that it can get better. And with sorrow, like, yes, sometimes you can't believe that it can get better, but most of the time you know that there's, like, something greater that can help you through it.
Well, and I also think that, like, fear can, like, trap you in and, like, won't let you, like, allow you to do, like, anything else. Like, you won't try to, like, go out and, like, do more. You're afraid to, like, that thing will happen again. But I think with, like, sorrow, I think you want to go out and, like, experience, like, other things and, like, it allows for, like, more.
Yeah, with sorrow, I guess, like, that's more almost like compassion for something. Like, if you're, I don't know, kind of. So I guess you could be more enriched by compassion, I guess, than fear.
And I think sorrow is something that has already happened, and fear could be something that hasn't yet happened.
In the book, like, his son went to Johannesburg, and he's, like, afraid for him. But I feel like if his son was dead, that, like, I mean, obviously it'd be a hard time, but the fear of him being in worse danger wouldn't be in the back of his mind as much as it is. But if his son was dead, he would get through it and, like, go through his life and eventually get stronger.
Sorrow is like a trial, and the Bible says that you should be happy to go through trials. I think, but fear is a tool used by the devil.
There you go. Because
Like, even if you get over one fear, there's always another one in the background waiting. So it's impossible to be completely fearless.
You think you could be completely sorrowless? Probably not.
No.
I mean, you can have joy through your sorrows, but you're going to feel so pain.
what exactly does impoverishes mean?
Like poverty.
But, I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily just, like, even, like, monetary. I think it would be even just, like, relations. I think fear can ruin relationships. It can ruin, like, what you do and, like, what you want to do and what you don't do, I think, too.
Right. If you're, like, really scared of something, you're not going to, like, take time to think through. You're just going to be, like, thinking about yourself, scared of it or whatever, or afraid, and it's going to distract you from doing other important things.
Like, fear can ruin your future, but sorrow can make your future better.
Mhm.
But, like, your maybe bad for the time, it gets better.
Well, I think it's just interesting because in the book it says here that his fear turned into sorrow. So, like, what he was, like, afraid of ended up, like, turning into the sorrow. And I think having the sorrow there kind of, like, released him and kind of released the fear.
Yeah, I think that's the thing where you can, like, fear something that'll happen. My kid could die or something like that. And when your kid actually does die, then
When or
Oh,
if?
okay.
well, when or if. If the kid dies, then I'd say it turns more into a sorrow. It's already happened, and you gotta learn from that sorrow.
Right. Yeah, it does kind of make sense.
10 minutes. So what is
How does fear impoverish us?
Like, it's already, like, it's always there in the back of your mind, like, it's going to make you weaker constantly, because you're afraid to do other things that you would.
How does sorrow enrich us?
Like what the Bible says, like when you go through when you go through sorrow, like joy can come out of it.
Well, I think the Bible talks more about trials, but is sorrow really a trial?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If your parents died, like today, it's
That
obviously
is-
going to be a big trial in your life. It says, like, in James chapter 1, it says, consider it pure joy, brothers, when you face trials of many kinds. And I think that it's, yeah, I mean, mean, it's obviously something you're gonna have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I just think the whole thing might make a little bit more sense if instead of sorrow they say trials. Well, trials maybe.
I think sorrow comes from trials. I
Yeah,
think, or
sorrow
comes through
is-
trials.
Yeah, sorrow is a byproduct.
I think in this context,
So does anybody have like examples of how they've gone through kind of sorrows or trials in which
I mean, you go through high school, which is terrible, and then you grow up and hopefully you do something good. I mean, with it, you have an education, so I mean, you're getting something from it.
Honestly, I think that there's trials like in our daily in our lives, like ones that we may not even know about. Like when we think back on the day and like what happened, like there's gonna be many little trials, but like some are more extreme than others.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously, I think death of anyone, a grandparent, a parent, anything is obviously very hard. But
And I think the sorrow comes from like that fear, like the thing that you like fear the most. Like you fear about like losing your grandparent, you lose like a family member. But then when it does happen, like that fear goes away because it's already happened, and you have the sorrow.
I think that like sorrow just like makes us stronger, but it like changes us as a person. So as you go through life, like Anna said, there's like different smaller things. But as you go through it, like you change as a person. You're not as scared of things. But fear just like hinders you from changing it all. It keeps you in the same place that you're at, and eventually it's gonna be really harmful to you.
yeah, fear. I like that. Fear keeps you, or fear like keeps you bound and chains. Like you can't really break from it.
does anyone have like specific examples of how fear has impoverished them?
I mean, I think everyone always has these like certain
Fears.
like it's not even like everyone subconsciously has fears like
Mm-hmm.
oh like I just don't think it goes through your mind like all the time. Like when you get in a car, like there's the fear that you're going to die,
Mhm.
but it just doesn't always come through your mind. Like if we allow the fear to like think about it constantly, it's gonna like oh I'm not gonna get in the car again, and then
Right.
we're never gonna go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Right.
I think fear really impoverishes us if we like let it like control us and like get into our minds and stuff.
Right.
But how? Like my question is, this probably isn't like answerable, but shoot, what was I gonna say? Oh, like how do we get rid of fear? Like you say, like when you get into a car, you think about like dying, but like do you do that every single time? Probably not. What makes those thoughts come back to your mind like every so often?
I think it depends on the fear. If it's like a fear of heights, then you can go skydiving.
Well, every time,
And that
yeah.
like fixes the fear. But there are some things that'll just always stay in the back of your head. But it'll like come up when the situation comes. Like if you're afraid of getting in an accident, it'll come up
And I think that the only reason that we fear certain things is because of other people. Like, when people grow up, like, I don't think you are born with, like, a certain fear of spiders or a certain fear of heights. I think it's just as you, like, are little and you're growing up, like, you see people that have this fear, and, like, you're kind of seeing, like, the danger of it. And, like, I don't think that people have their own unique fears. I think it just comes to you.
All right, go ahead and wrap up your discussion.
But, like, it's obviously going to be,
My iPad ran out of memory.
what?
My iPad ran out of memory.
Well, I think that's
All right,
it.
yeah, I think we're done.
Guys.